I got a question. If you were in the jungle and you came across a gorilla and you had to fight to the death, do you think you could win? He pounds his chest and says, I want to take on Iron Mike.
Well, it's never been done before, so
It's never been done. It's never been done.
What up, guys? Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most legendary stories in boxing. We're talking about the time Mike Tyson tried to throw hands with a silverback gorilla. We've got opinions from some pro boxers, fight breakdowns. We've even got some in-depth analysis from a couple of gorilla experts. So settle in as we go down the rabbit hole of this crazy tale. All right, let's set the scene. It's the late 1980s. Tyson is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. He's 21, knocking out grown men left and right, and to put it simply, he's the baddest man on the planet. One day, Mike decides to take his then-wife, Robin Givens, on a private after-hours tour of Central Park Zoo. No crowds, no cameras, just the two of them, a zookeeper, and a bunch of animals. Sounds like a peaceful evening, right? So they're strolling along, enjoying the sights, when Tyson spots the gorilla enclosure. Now here's where things get a little, well, Tyson, shall we say. Mike sees this massive silverback gorilla, and apparently the big guy is bullying the other gorillas. Now, most people would watch in awe and maybe feel bad for the others, but not Mike. Tyson, of course, is no stranger to bullies. As a kid, he was bullied himself until Customato turned him into the fighting machine he was. So when Tyson sees the silverback gorilla acting like the schoolyard tough guy, it strikes a nerve. At this point, any sane person would just move on to the giraffes. But this was 80s Tyson. So what does he do? He offers the zookeeper $10,000 in cold hard cash to let him inside the enclosure so he can settle things with the gorilla the Iron Mike way. Yeah, you heard me right. Mike Tyson, the world heavyweight champion, actually wanted to get in the cage and fight a full-grown silverback gorilla. His exact words, according to him, were, "I offered the zookeeper $10,000 to open the cage and let me smash that silverback snot box." Imagine being that zookeeper. Talk about a rock in a hard place. Thankfully, the zookeeper wisely and rather courageously turned Mike's offer down. But just for a moment, imagine what would have happened if he said yes. Let's break it down. Along with his explosive speed and raw power, Tyson's greatest asset was his head movement and ability to slip punches. But we're talking about a gorilla here. Even a playful slap could potentially knock Tyson into next year. The gorilla has a massive reach advantage, though its style is more about big arching blows rather than long rangy shots. And as fast as Tyson is, the gorilla would definitely come out the gates quicker. But what if Tyson somehow manages to avoid that initial onslaught, bob and weave, and get close enough to land that signature hook or uppercut? I mean, could a perfect shot from Mike actually rattle a gorilla? Tyson's KO power was legendary after all. But let's take this a little deeper and hear what some of the experts in both fields have to say. Over the years, Jake Wood and Spencer Oliver from the Pound for Pound podcast have made this Tyson versus gorilla matchup a running joke, asking their guests, many of them pro and ex-pro boxers, who they think would win. Here's a few of their responses.
If you mention a silverback peak gorilla, he would have crushed Mike Tyson. And I know a lot about animals, and you don't know the bite force, even if it wasn't biting, the force of a silverback gorilla can move cars.
Yeah.
Like, so please just allow it. Anyone that says Tyson is silly, be silly.
And if Tyson got into the cage, you know when the gorilla twitches its neck, but when it's done that, Tyson's hit him with like a 3-punch combo. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Caught him clean with every shot. That could be good night gorilla.
It could be, you know.
Oh man, I think I would have went with the gorilla. No, I would have went with Mike Tyson because he's crazy.
Yeah.
And you think he would have knocked the gorilla out? Do you, Shannon?
I think the Mike Tyson in his heyday, young, 20 years old, would have knocked out anybody.
Brilliant, great answer.
Happy days.
Serious silverback gorilla rips him apart limb by limb.
Right, but ends. I'm talking about a prime Mike Tyson.
I still, you know, that silverback gorilla is, well, should we say, 10 times as strong. You'd grip hold of him, you'd rip his arms. He'd probably tag him all he feels. Lewis, all at the same time.
Wow.
I'm the biggest Mike Tyson fan ever, but we've got to be realistic. Now, if we talk in boxing, if that Gorilla Lamb got a good jab, Tyson's getting in there and he's destroying it.
Oh, brilliant, mate.
Great stuff from the pros there, but no real definitive answer. So Jake and Spencer took things up a notch. They brought in 2 wildlife experts, Steve Backshall, famed naturalist and adventurer, and Ian Redmond, OBE, a primatologist and leading authority on gorillas. These guys gave us some real scientific insight into how this fantasy matchup would actually play out. Here's what they had to say.
Steve Backshall, right? Good friend of mine, naturalist, and we're going to get him on now. So listen, Steve, we've got this this question, and I think you're uniquely placed to answer it because obviously you know a lot of stuff about your animals and all that, but also you're quite a fan of boxing, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah.
With that in mind, Steve, could you knock a gorilla out?
It's a really interesting question, actually, and there's a lot of different things that you've got to consider there. My main thought would be whether it would be possible to knock one out at all with a human powered punch. So if you look at a human skull compared to a big male gorilla skull,
this is it.
The gorilla skull is much bigger, it's much heavier, it's much bonier, much more what we call in biology ossified, and it's just so heavy, so robust, and so protective of the brain. I think that even if you hit a big gorilla with a baseball bat, you probably still wouldn't knock it out. I have been punched by a gorilla myself.
Wow. Where were you punched?
I got punched about a hand's width away from my family jewels. This male gorilla swung a massive punch, and I just kind of like twisted my body at the last second, so it hit me on the leg. If it had actually hit me where he was aiming for, it would have been a very different story.
Wow. He was aiming for the for the balls, was he? He was going for the balls.
He was very much aiming for the family jewels.
Wow,
dirty bastard.
So you don't think Mike would have the power to knock it out, even in the front, if the nose bit and all that?
It's an interesting scenario. I mean, with a gorilla, they have evolved purely for the purpose of protecting their troops. They are built to withstand pressure. They are built for defense. You know, that massive, great big head, the muscles all around the head. They've got no necks. They've got massive, great big traps, enormous, great deltoids and back. And I think personally that a human punch is not going to be the equal of that. Probably be around about the same height, but in terms of weight, the gorilla would be way out there. Yep. And their reach is insane. So a gorilla that stood 6 foot tall would have an 8 feet arm span.
Mike Tyson was knocking out men when he was 10, so I think the weight difference wouldn't really bother him that much.
What about body shots?
Where do we stand with that?
Wow.
Could you dig a gorilla in the stomach and disable him?
I think that's really, really unlikely. Quite a lot of, really heavy body shots in boxing are aiming for the liver and the kidneys, right?
Yeah.
And that's really well protected.
So do you think that the gorilla would do Tyson? Is that what you're saying? Go on.
Honestly, I have no idea, but it's...
Whoa, see? Even Steve Backshall was sitting on the fence on this one. That's what I'm saying.
What I can say is gorillas had hundreds of thousands of years of evolution to be able to be the best at defending himself and his troop. And I think that anybody who attempted that would come off worse. I'm pretty sure of that.
It's definitely for me. It's going the gorilla's way, isn't it?
Well, listen, it was going the gorilla's way, yes, but it wasn't conclusive. As far as I'm concerned, Tyson's still got his nose in front.
I think we should get a proper gorilla expert on. Ian Redmond, OBE, a tropical field biologist and conservationist renowned for his work with great apes. Ian, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What are the terms of this engagement? Are we talking Marquis of Queensberry or no holds barred?
No, I think it's no holds barred. I think Mike, he wouldn't be gloved up. It would just be bare-fisted.
A gorilla is going to avoid an argument and given half a chance, it will just move away. But if you push, eventually they'll stop and turn and they will charge you. A silverback is going to weigh about 200 kilos or 400 and something pounds.
Wow.
With canine teeth that are 1.5 inches long.
If Tyson did catch him with that first shot and caught him clean, Would it be enough?
I suspect not, because at what point are you going to hit the face of the gorilla with enough force to shake the brain and knock it out? I can't see it happening. Whereas if the gorilla gets the first swipe in, it's not going to be a jab, it's going to be a side swing. Like a hook, I have met an ex-poacher who had 4 parallel scars across his abdomen where a gorilla had swung for him and it just, with his fingernails, scraped the skin.
Sounds like the gorillas like to throw a lot of body shots, doesn't it?
They thump the body, and when they're fighting with each other, they'll grab handfuls of hair. And I have found handfuls of hair with skin attached. Powerful animals with immense strength and an ability to, if they get a lucky blow, disembowel. Well, maybe Mr. Tyson would have his guard up and wouldn't have his abdomen exposed. So he might just be knocked flying.
What I was thinking was if Tyson caught him with a shot and then followed up with a combo, would that be enough to knock the gorilla out?
Tyson, if that was what he was doing unprovoked, the gorilla might be so surprised that he'd get lucky. But I just think that a gorilla is going to be more resilient to the kind of force even a heavyweight boxer can give.
What would the gorilla's reaction be, Ian, do you think, if he wasn't knocked out?
If the silverback takes this as a challenge to his dominance, then he's going to fight back. The gorillas are aware of male size.
So Mike Tyson in his day, by the way, was a beast of a man.
He was imposing.
He was a very imposing
guy.
guy, yeah. He may have even got in the gorilla's head before the fight even happened.
Do you think there's a possibility in that if the gorilla was punched but didn't fancy it because of the size of Tyson, he would just get away?
When two males fight, a lot of it is to do with confidence.
See, some gorillas lack confidence. Tyson never lacked confidence, by the way.
No, but that's what I'm thinking. So just maybe, just by force of personality and bravado, force the gorilla to back down. Unless they're in a survival mode,
sure.
They're not normally looking for a fight.
But in your opinion, the gorilla would come out on top, you think?
I think if it came to it, then the gorilla would win, and Mr. Tyson would be lucky if he survived.
I think that's quite conclusive. Well, for me,
I think the gorilla would start a big favourite.
So there you have it. Tyson could potentially, maybe, have the tiniest edge in the psychological side of things, with his mental toughness and his combat experience. But if the gorilla chooses to fight, it's game over. Tyson may have been the most dangerous man in the ring and the baddest man on the planet, but a gorilla is no man. The sheer size, strength, speed, and ferocity of a silverback gorilla would be too much for even a prime Mike Tyson. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've put links in the description to the organizations that Ian works with and to Jake and Spencer's podcast as well, if anyone would like to check those out. Until next time, keep your guard up and your chin down. Laters.